Trillions of gallons of water have been added to Lake Superior just so far in spring 2026. That's from rain, snow, snowmelt, everything. So we're going to do a couple of fun things with some numbers over here. I'm going to break down how I got those for you and just put everything into perspective of how much water actually went into Lake Superior. Okay, so the starting point I like to start with is how much did the water rise, first of all? Well, according to some data that I found, we have about an 11.8-inch rise just from the latter part of March into May 1st. And that again comes from a rapid snowmelt, excessive rainfall, and then of course just the amount of snow that was also melting and flowing into the lake. Now the next thing we need to know is what is the surface area of Lake Superior? And a quick Google search will tell us that is about 31,700 square miles. All right, now in order to get this into gallons, which is a unit that a lot of us are familiar with, we have to do a little bit of conversion here. So we're going to start with 1 square mile. When 1 inch of water is over 1 square mile, so 1 mile by 1 mile, draw a square, that is 17.4 million gallons to cover that area with 1 inch of water. Okay, so it's really just simple math, but with really big numbers. We're looking at 17.4 million gallons for 1 square mile times 31,700 square miles, and we are getting about 551.58 billion gallons of water, and that is just for 1 inch across this massive Great Lake. So the next step is really just to keep on mathing, right? So we're going to take the number we just got, which is 551.58 billion gallons for 1 inch, and we're just going to multiply it by the rise that we've recorded, which is about 11.8 inches so far this spring. And that is where we get this incredibly huge number of roughly 6.5 trillion gallons of water that have gone into Lake Superior just so far this spring. Now, I also don't want to mislead you and lead you to believe that the water's done rising. It's not. There's still snow on the north shore of Lake Superior, especially up into the mountains northeast of the lake, and that's going to continue to melt and continue to run off into the lake. So there's still a forecast rise of about 7 to 10 inches across the lake. So if you kind of do this math all over again, you're going to get slightly less than what I just got added onto what I just got. Okay, so let's take our ridiculously huge number of 6.5 trillion gallons and break it down into something that a lot of us understand a little better, which is Olympic-sized swimming pools, right? The big ones with the lanes in them that you swim back and forth in. Well, that would equate to about 9.8 roughly million Olympic-sized swimming pools, and that's making the assumption that each Olympic-sized swimming pool that I'm using is 660,000 gallons. Okay, but I do want to break this down a little bit more just to make some crazier numbers for you, because why not, right? So we know that 1.27 billion milk jugs is the amount it would take to go from the surface of the earth up to the surface of the moon, assuming the moon is at its average distance. It does fluctuate a little bit, but for the sake of simplicity, this is what we're going with. So 6.5 trillion gallons stacked up to the moon, which of course one column is 1.27 billion. We just divide it out. That gives us 5,118 columns of 1.27 billion milk jugs going from the ground up to the moon. That is absolutely crazy. Now, lastly here, this is my last fun fact for you, but 6.5 trillion gallon jugs full of our water that we put into Lake Superior would wrap around the equator 218 million times. And we're not done adding water to Lake Superior just yet. So this is a ton of water that has gone into Lake Superior. Please make sure you check out my previous video where I did this for Lakes Michigan and Huron as well. I have plans to do a couple more lakes and a couple more fun subjects to break down some math for you. And of course, thank you to my sponsor, Hess Team Realty Pros. They are amazing realtors, real estate professionals in Southeast Michigan, but they cover the whole state and they're willing to travel to help you out. They are the top producers in Livingston County and they have accolades and awards galore. So they are a great, reputable company and team that can get you the most out of your real estate investments and adventures. So please seek them out. I'll have the link in the comments.